Welcome to the Spa Girls podcast. Join us each week for self-publishing tips, tricks, and resources. I'm Cheryl Phipps.
I'm Shar Barrett.
I'm Wendy Vella.
And I'm Trudy J. Hello.
Hiya.
Welcome. And this week we have a very special guest. We've got Brighton Walsh. Hello,
Hey,
Brighton.
Brighton. Hello.
Hi, Brighton.
Now, Brighton is awesome at TikTok. So she's going to talk us through TikTok this week, which I'm very excited about. I'm like going to pick your brains, Brighton. You're going to be like left lying on the floor in a exhausted heap by the end of this interview. That's fine, right? You're
I
okay
like
with
how
that?
we make
That's
our guests
fine.
feel welcome and relaxed.
Yeah.
I
Trudy.
know.
We have
Brian Corral here, but no
We
promises.
have a lot of questions for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. I will try my hardest.
Cool.
Awesome. So I'm just going to read out your bio first, and then we'll get right into it. So Brighton Walsh is an award-winning, I've read it around the wrong way. Award-winning USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling author Brighton Walsh spent a decade as a professional photographer before taking her storytelling in a different direction and reconnecting with her first love, writing. She likes her books how she likes her tea, steamy and satisfying. I love that. And adores strong-willed heroines and protective heroes who fall head over heels for them. Brighton lives in the Midwest with her real-life hero of a husband, her two kids, both taller than her. That must be annoying. And her dog, who thinks she's a queen. Yeah. Like my daughter is always like, I'm almost there, Mum. I'm almost there. She's 11. It's like, oh, she'll be there soon enough. Anyway.
They
So
passed me. They're 6 feet. So
Oh gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. You're done. Okay. So thank you, Brighton, for coming on to talk to us today about TikTok.
Thank you for
and this.
having me.
That's awesome. Now let's start at the beginning though. How did you get into writing and self-publishing? Like what was your journey there from photographer to writer?
Yeah. So I was a photographer and I actually went on a girls trip with photographer friends. I'm going way back. And some of my friends said, you have got to read Twilight. And I was like, do I though? But it was on sale at Target for like less than the price that it would have cost me to buy 2 magazines. And I was like, all right, let me try this. Well, I was sucked into it and made it my personality for like 7 years, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I was a Twi mom. I went down the fanfic rabbit hole. I started writing fanfic. And I did that for a long time. I wrote like 500,000 words, I think, in fanfic.
Wow.
And then I transitioned to original fiction. My first novella was published with Karina, and then I got an agent. And my first full-length novel sold to Berkeley.
Oh, nice.
And I was hybrid for a little while. I self-published my first novel in 2016. And then I've mostly gone indie. I have had a couple traditional deals that are under secret pen names that I don't share, but for the most part, I am indie now under Brighton. So
that's awesome.
It's been quite a journey. So it's been about 10 years. May 2013 was when I was first published. So coming up.
Wow. Okay.
Amazing.
Gosh, isn't that awesome? Like the journey from through all of these other places and times.
Yeah.
So when did you first jump onto TikTok then?
It's been just over a year. So I started the very end of January 2022.
Yeah.
And I so I'm number 2 strategic for those who speak Clifton strengths. I'm number 2 strategic. So I need to have everything in order before I start, and everything has to be quote unquote perfect. So I had taken TikTok sells books, and like I had prepped, I had an account and had it ready. And I just could never like bite the bullet and actually do it. But then I had a deal on a box set. It was a BookBub and everything, and I wanted to make a splash, and I was like, well, it's now or never. And I did it, and it just exploded. Basically, I think my second or third video went viral. So I really lucked out straight out of the gate. But I learned a lot doing it that way. And
So
Yeah.
where did you start? Did you start with your face, or were you always doing the same kind of ones that you do
So
now?
I started with page flips. I did a couple of those first. One of those went viral, and then I did try my face a couple times. And TikTok was like, no, we don't want to see you. So
But you're so
those-
gorgeous.
those
How do
got-
they not want to see you?
Adorable.
thank
Oh my
you.
gosh.
That's very nice. Yeah, so it didn't go well, which was fine with me because I don't want to put on makeup every day and I don't want to do my hair every day. And I know that, you know, you don't have to do that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
People are
Don't have
going to
to.
see you. You feel
Yeah.
like you should put in a little effort.
people are going to see you. Yes, people are going to see you. And plus it's just, oh my gosh, page flips, initially, that's what I did, are so much easier. You know, you can reuse the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So I never recorded in TikTok. I recorded in just my native phone app and saved them.
Yeah.
And so then I would just, you know, upload every time. So I never had to re-record. That was already done, which was a huge time saver for me. So
Yeah.
I was, as rude as it was that they were like, no, we don't want to see your face. I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so do you do page flips now, or is it mostly just the videos?
I do page flip-ish. I don't do, so normally, initially on TikTok, the page flip took up the whole screen. So it was just literally a book flipping pages, and that was the entire video. And now I have shifted to do what I call book aesthetic videos, which are different than aesthetic videos. You might have seen those where it's like, let me get you to read this book based on these images. And then it's a bunch of images that flip through, and that's like the book's aesthetic.
Yeah.
But these are bookish backgrounds. So it might be of a bookcase, or it could be of, you know, like candles, and then you've got books in the background or something like that. Just a really pretty sort of cozy bookish vibe. Yeah.
And
so that's what I do now.
Yourself?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years as a photographer. So
Yeah.
Of course. Yay.
I love it.
Very cool.
I
it's
like
paid
colours.
off.
The colours that make a difference, don't they?
Yeah.
That you know, they've got that, you've sort of got that emerald sort of jade green
Yeah.
color, and then the rose. Yeah, it looks great, you know.
Thank you. Yeah. I didn't I didn't set out to do that, but then I had friends who said, you know, when the teal comes up in their FYP, they know that it's mine. And so now I sort of have to stick with it, which
Yeah.
I mean, can be a little bit confining, but it is what it is. You know,
If
I've
it's
branded
recognizable.
myself that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
It's
exactly.
definitely a brand, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah. So do you
Yeah.
use the exact same imagery every time, or are you using sort of different things but with that same teal background? Or
Yeah, I switch it out. Usually I go about maybe 20 to 25 videos with one background, and then I switch to something else. But if you look on my page, they all coordinate with each other. So it's kind of like, this is my photography background again. I look at it like outfits for family pictures, where
Yeah.
they sort of, it's not all the same. Like we're not talking jeans and white shirts. We're talking, you know, somebody's in complementary colors, basically.
Yeah.
So I change it out every once in a while. And sometimes I go back and I reuse ones that I've already done, you know, just reuse the backgrounds, because there are really only so many ways I can take a picture of this teal table,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does the background actually consist of?
On mine.
Yeah, the colors.
Well,
So is it like a
it's different. So I have a teal table. Let's see. There's my teal
Mhm.
table.
right,
cool.
Right there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just, it varies. So I have these little paper roses that are made from a book.
Oh wow.
They were actually leftover. I made a wreath for my sister for Christmas one year, and I had 3 left over, and I just kept them. So it adds like just a little bit of flair. It's something unique that people ask about. So
Mhm.
that's a tip,
Yeah.
to do something that that people, because any comment will
Mhm.
help the algorithm.
Mm.
And then I usually have books some way in there. So my current one, I've got a book in the corner that's just like flipping pages, and it's a special edition. So it has black pages within it,
Mhm.
which is also something that people ask about. Sometimes I'll just have, the books, not spine side up, so page
Mhm.
side up.
Yeah.
So you can't see, the title. Sometimes I will do that. But I do think that flipping pages or having something like that, or having a candle flickering or something, helps to have some sort of movement in the
Yeah.
video, so that
Yeah.
it doesn't get stale or
Yeah.
boring
Mm.
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
viewers.
Can,
Yeah.
can I ask, how often do you post a day?
Just once.
Just once. And
Just
do you-
once a day. Yeah, that's been my
That's
schedule
refreshing.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever changed that is during release. Like during release week, I might post maybe 2 or 3 times a day for a week, just because I want to get as many views on those videos as I can. So if my goal is, let's say, 200,000 views in a week, it doesn't matter if I get that in one video or if I get it in 10, 20,000 videos, or, any
Mhm.
variation of that,
Mhm.
so long as I hit that, that goal. So that's the only time that I do that. But I did not want this to take over my life.
Mm.
And, I still have to write. I still have to write the books. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to, I see people who say, they post 5, 6, 7 times a day. And no,
Mm.
first of all, I would run out of content. Like I don't even just posting one hook a day, I still feel like, oh my God, I've used this hook so many times. But
Yeah.
Do you
it's
reuse
still
videos?
videos, yes, not super often, unless like right now I am in super deadline mode. So I have taken and reused all of my videos of this style, and I'm just reposting those.
Mhm.
So I take it and strip the watermark and then upload as a new video. I don't do that very often, but I do reuse my hooks and my wording frequently, like
Mhm.
Okay.
all the time. All the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to delve into exactly what you do and how you decide the hooks and things like that in a minute. But first of all, I just want to ask you, what was your growth like? So if you started in January last year and your main Brighton account has something like 12,000 people on it, was that a really fast growth to there, or are you still growing? Or how does that all work in terms of those numbers? And is it important to be at that kind of level for sales?
It's not at all important to be at that level. I mean, I had maybe 100 followers when I had my first 100,000 plus video.
Oh, wow.
Just to clarify, when I say a video went viral, because a lot of people have different definitions of this, I'm saying 100,000 views or more. So,
Yeah.
so no, you don't have to have a huge following, and that's the beauty of TikTok. I think that's why it really resonated with a lot of people. If you've been around long enough, you saw the highs and the lows of Facebook, and how you no longer reach the people who like your page. You could have 10,000 likes or follows on your page, and your posts would get seen by 3 people.
Mhm.
So I think that was really refreshing with TikTok, that you didn't have to have a huge following. Anybody could go viral at all. But my growth was, I don't know, it was pretty steadily, I would say, about 1,000 followers a month. And that has stayed fairly steady.
Mhm.
I'm on month 13 now, so I'm just under that. Obviously, if you have a viral video, your growth spikes.
Mhm.
And then if you don't have anything, it sort of, it slows quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty steady.
That's awesome. Okay. And then, so you started doing your TikToks, and so you use a video with your beautiful teal background and whatever else you put in there, and then you have a hook for your story. So how do you write those? Like, what's your I don't know.
Secrets
Yeah,
of
what's my
writing a
thought
good
process
hook.
Give us your
around it?
secrets.
So my secret actually is watching TikTok.
Yeah.
Watching TikTok so I was a TikTok consumer before I became a poster on there. And it has really helped me, not just in posting my videos, but in actually writing my books and planning my books. And it has, if you're familiar with Jennifer Lynn Barnes, writing for your id, and even Theodora Taylor's 7-figure fiction, where she talks about butter. So TikTok is a gold mine filled with id and butter galore. And you can see what is hitting with readers, like now readers, the readers right now who are diving into the genre. You can see what they're liking by what's going viral. And so I spent a lot of time, whether intentionally or not, absorbing that. And then when I wrote my book that released in, June, I think, I put a lot of those scenes in the book, a lot of that butter, a lot of that id. And those books now, the books that I've written since then, are so much more marketable on TikTok because of that than my previous ones. Like I have previous books. I have a book that I don't have a hook for. Like I cannot figure out a hook for that book at all. It's actually an award-winning book. So it's not like, well, this is bad, but it's hard to define sometimes, when you don't write with that in mind. But finding it for your books, I would suggest rereading them, which I know can be painful for some people, but reread it with a reader in mind. And think about when you have seen a TikTok that has stood out to you, think about what it was about that. Did you love a protective hero? Did you love a possessive hero? Did you love the secret relationship, or sneaking around, or when he did something sweet for her, or anything that stands out, and see if you can find those in your books. And then also, while you're watching, if something comes up on your FYP, think, do I have something like this in my book? I mean, obviously you're not going to want to copy the videos that you see, but if there's one about, let's say, her brother finding out that she's secretly seeing his best friend, and that went viral, do you have a brother's best friend book that you could, relate to that? And then just keep notes. I have all of my hooks on my notes app in my phone, and I keep them separated by series first, and then by book. And then my old books, I just have it like that. So just within each book is just a pile of hooks. But my newer books, I separate out by hooks because I have so many of them now with the ones that I've written since I've been on TikTok. But it really makes it a lot easier, and it's a time saver. So that, I mean, my goal is to spend 15 minutes or less on TikTok a day. So I don't want to, hunt for it or try to remember like the wording of it or something like that. That's not to say that I'm not fine tuning it or changing the wording for something, or seeing if, a slight variation would make something hit more. I mean, I'm always playing with that and iterating, but for the most part, it's there for me to,
So
swipe.
how do you set aside, how much time do you set aside for the actual setup, for the actual coming up with all the ideas, so that you can only spend the 15 minutes,
That's a good question. I don't know. It's been so long since I've had to do it. My last release was in September. And I did that, I think, as I was reading through for my final read through. I would just get an idea and jot it down. And then I would go in and just sort of fine tune it. So I guess I don't really put put restraints on it for that. Just because I know that when I do it, then it'll be done. But I would say it's several hours worth of work to gather all the hooks for those. But we're talking about 25 different hooks in maybe, 3 to 4 different variations within that. So you're talking about, almost 100 different wording choices that you can use.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you're not going to sit down and do that all in one go.
Right. Exactly.
As the book goes on. And
yeah.
And once it's done, right? So you've got that. And
once it's done, it's there. And then I just, if I change something or think of, if I see a different phrase or a different word or something is hitting with them, I might alter mine to see if I change this one single word to this, like maybe instead of alpha, I use enemy here, or, whatever it may be, and just see if that hits. And then I keep them all. So I've just got pages and pages of the
so
different.
do you just go through your different books? Like, how many books have you got? And are you putting all of them up there, or are you doing first in series, or do you just
I have maybe 15 books out, roughly. So I have 3 different series. And I have found with TikTok that KU does better. Now I was 100% wide until July. I've always been wide my entire author career. And then I had 2 videos from 2 different platforms go viral, and they went mega viral. So on Instagram, it hit 4 million, and on TikTok, it hit 1 million. And I thought, if I was in KU, I would be making a lot more money than I am. So I'm going to test it. And I did. So that told me that, yes, you can absolutely. So for people who are listening, who are wide, you can absolutely make money, and this can absolutely affect your bottom line wide. It did for me. I mean, the first months, February through June of 2022 were fabulous for me. Months 7 through 12 were just better. And that's because I went into KU. But so I tend to focus more on my KU series than I do on my other ones. And right now I'm really, really pushing my new series just because I have so many more hooks for it. It's easier to TikTok, and it's easier to run through them and not get so bored with them. I used to be really paranoid about, like, how many times will people want to see this, and just don't worry about it. It's your followers will see it probably lots of times, but there are still hundreds of thousands of people on there who have never seen that hook before. So
and I also think it's sometimes a reminder, right? Like, so someone might see, like, when you're scrolling through, like, I will read something, see it, like it, move on, and then
it comes up again,
and I'll be like, that's okay. Like, I don't think I would, as a consumer of TikTok, be that worried if I felt like it was just a reminder of this great book. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have had people say that, oh, I liked this last week, or I liked this last month, and I lost the book, or I forgot about it.
Yeah.
This is my sign to read it. So keep
and
posting.
if you've got so many, then they're not seeing that particular one.
Right.
There's going to be others that are going to, get that recognition going.
Do you think some genres do better than others on TikTok?
I mean, I don't have data for this.
No.
My gut says yes. But I do think that there are readers for every genre on there. You just have to find them. I mean, there is a talk for everything. Talk being TOK. I mean, there's fridge organization talk. There is, I'm not kidding you. There's a talk for everything. So there has got to be murder mystery talk, and, fantasy talk, and true crime talk, you know,
Yeah.
there is, you just have to find it. And that does take some work, but it's what you should do anyways. Whether the audience is big or small, you should be finding them first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to ask, how many hashtags are you using at a time?
You know, this varies, and this is something that I say you should always test for your account and then test again within your account. Some people have luck with like 3 hashtags, and some people do like
A bazillion.
30. Yeah. And you just have to kind of see what works for you. I don't really count. I just kind of put it on. For a while there, I was doing like maybe 10, I think. And now so TikTok has this thing where when you post, you can hit the hashtag thing and it'll bring up all your recent ones. And I just add them. I just add all of them. And then I add this ones that are like, those are the generic ones. So like spicy talk and hot book recs and those kind of things. And then I will add if it's a friends to lovers romance, or if it's an enemies to lovers, or brother's best friend, or whatever. And that's what I do. So I honestly, you would have to count mine to see how many I use. But I would guess probably between maybe 10 to 15. I'm gonna guess.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. That's good. And so I've been reading somewhere, you know, talking about social media and stuff like that. And this person said that the most important thing is the shares. So is that the same on TikTok, do you think? Or do you think it's like, in terms of what makes a video successful as for us as an author?
Viral.
Viral. So
is the shares. No. Not on TikTok.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because some of my viral videos have, I don't know, double digit shares, like hardly any. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know what is the secret sauce. For those listening who have a TikTok account and have been very frustrated this year, it is almost across the board that I've seen views have been down since January. And that's been really frustrating, obviously. And I'm seeing that even with, like, I had a video the other day that had 10 comments on it within 2 hours, and it stalled at like 1,200 or 1,300 views. So I don't know, because one would think, okay, it's the interaction of it. You know, it's getting people to post, getting people to like, or not post, comment, getting them to save it. But I don't know that anybody has actually cracked the code. I haven't. I just hope for the best.
Yeah. Do you switch up the time of day that you post, Brighton?
Not usually. So, and that's just recently. That has changed over the course of the year that I've been posting, but it's something, again, that you should test for every account that you have, and see what time of day TikTok prefers to have it from you. I usually post in the evening, and that's just because it works for my schedule. It started like that, and the videos performed. So I was like, great, I'm going to stay here. So that's what I do. Once in a while, I'll change it. Like during these last 2 months when TikTok has been off the rails, I've tried a lot of things that, you know, I got into a groove and it was this over and over again. And then it was like, okay, well, does it want something different from me? So it was, you know, different times posting different lengths of videos, things like that. And it didn't change anything. So
yeah. Okay.
So when you say it helps your sales, is it the viral video that was those that, you know, the 1 million plus likes on that? Is that what kind of, when you really see the sales bumps on those kinds of videos, or do you see it still with the smaller numbers? And yeah,
you can still see it with smaller numbers. And it, you know, it really depends on what your baseline is. So obviously if your baseline is lower, and if you're selling 5 books a day and you have a video that hits 2,000, you're going to see that bump a lot easier than if you're selling 50 books a day and you get 2,000 views. But you know, the needle moves pretty steadily if you have you know, in the thousands, I would say. If you have below 1,000, it would take, I mean, it's gonna take a lot for you to see that bump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I notice so this is where we maybe talk about a little bit of best practice and how do we get things happening. And I noticed that you're only following 249 people on your Brighton Walsh account versus the 12,000 people who are following you. And I think I'm following like 1,000 people or something. And I was like, immediately thought, oh no, I'm following too many people. So what is that? Is that a tactic that you've used, or you just have never?
It's really, it's not a tactic. It's just, I'm only going to follow the people that I want to see. And when I'm on there now, I am on there not for pleasure, but for research mostly.
Yeah.
So I'm not even, honestly, I'm not even paying attention to it. Like, I don't even, it's not anything that enters my mind like, oh, I should follow this person. I'm looking at the video. I'm looking at if it's gone viral. I'm looking at the hook of it. So yeah, that's not to say like oh no, you shouldn't be following more than 300 people. Don't do that. No, I think you should follow whoever you want. I would not do follow parties. I know that they're very popular to build your following. I would not do it. There's no need to do it because you can have 3 followers and go viral. You do not need to do that. I think it's more important to get the right kind of followers, the followers who want to see your content. And sure, fellow authors might do that. But I know authors read too, but readers are who we want. And the TikTok reader is different than authors.
Yeah.
Because there's author talk and book talk, right? And I think sometimes authors get stuck in author talk and they don't sort of realize that there's this whole other world. How do you sort of and I remember thinking this when I first started on TikTok. How do I find book talk? I can't find it. Like,
you search hashtags.
Yeah.
You search hashtags. So before you when you first get an account, I say train it. So you sign up for a TikTok account and you get Brighton Walsh books, you get your name, and then you go in and you search hashtags and you niche down, really, really niche down to those hashtags. So if you write cowboy romance, let's say, you would want to look for cowboy romance hashtags, whatever they may be. If you write dark romance, you will want to look for that. You can look in the broader range. I would not go into book talk, just the hashtag book talk. It's too vast to really narrow down to it. But once you go through those, when you go into the hashtags, you can just watch the videos, watch them all the way through. Like, save if you want, comment if you're drawn to do it. I mean, don't be fake in it. You know, don't comment just because Brighton told you to comment on it. Only comment if you want to. And follow the people who you genuinely want to see more content from. And the reason I'm at 200 and some is because I did that initially and then I stopped. Like, I did that when I built my account and then I just sort of didn't think about it again. And I don't look at who's following me. I don't pay attention to that at all. So like, if somebody is following me and they don't get a follow back, don't be offended.
It's not personal.
I don't mean to be mean. I'm not being mean.
Can I ask you where you drive your people to? Have you got a link tree set up, or what have you got for people to click on and go to? And do you change and rotate what you're promoting on that link?
So I have on there, I have what I call my quick links. So it's like a link tree, but it goes to my website. And it's set up specifically for TikTok. And the only difference from my TikTok one versus like my Instagram one is that TikTok has the special edition paperbacks, the discrete covers, highlighted as a button because they tend to like those more. But I will say, links on my profile are just, you don't have to worry about it. I know that everybody panics that you can't get a link until you have 1,000 followers. It doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. I don't have the numbers anymore, but I pulled them before. And I think in the entire time that I've had it, I think I've had maybe 1,000 clicks on it. And that's with millions of views on these videos. So it's really, in comparison, like my Instagram, I think has had like maybe 10,000 clicks.
Yeah.
So it's just,
People
TikTok
will find you if they
viewers,
want to find you.
They
Basically.
do. They
Yeah.
screenshot it. They go immediately to their book retailer of choice. So I see a video on there and I see the name, I go to Amazon immediately.
Yeah.
I don't even go into their thing. First of all, because it keeps you in TikTok's in the app. So like you know, you would have to re-sign in and it's just clunky that way. So that doesn't mean that I wouldn't utilize it to the best of my ability. So obviously, if you can have a link there, I mean, you should. For my side accounts, I don't actually. I'm able to, and I just don't have a link on them. But if you know, for your author page, I would put one on there. You might as well utilize the space.
Yeah, makes sense. So you've got the links. It talks about other accounts, and I know you don't have to tell us what these other accounts are or anything, but like, is that another good strategy? We should be thinking about multiple accounts, or have one for our personal stuff and one for the author stuff?
Oh, you should for sure have one for your personal stuff and one for your author stuff. I have many accounts. I think at last count I had maybe 11.
Okay.
I don't use them all. I don't post on them all, but I have ones where like I wanted to get the screen name. Or I have like my personal one that I watch on, and I protect that algorithm as much as I protect my author one, because that is catered to fridge organization talk and you know, that kind of stuff. And I don't want that messed up either. But for your author account, you really should be careful with what you're watching, because what you're watching tells TikTok where you should go, where they should show your videos. So if you get stuck in author talk, for instance, your videos are going to go to the wrong people. If you get stuck in, let's say, political talk, your videos are going to go to the wrong people. If you get stuck on cute animal talk, your videos are going to go to the wrong people. And I know that those like dog videos are so cute, but don't look at those. Don't look at those on your author account. So so I have my personal account, I have my Brighton account, I have side accounts, so like vanity pages. And then I have a throwaway account that I do not care what comes on that page. If friends send me something, I change to that account before I click on it to look at it. And I just, I don't have to concern myself with it. I also don't scroll on that one though. Like I don't just scroll the page with that. But opening multiple accounts is a way to get your books out there more. TikTok does reward new accounts. So utilize that. I opened up one. So I spoke at RAM, Romance Author Mastermind in November, and I opened up a new account for that 2 weeks prior to it, just so that I could have data
Mm-hmm.
to show them, what you can do with a new account. And that account has almost 10,000 followers already. So that grew
wow.
very quickly,
Yeah.
much quicker than my Brighton account. But it has stalled majorly since January, since this thing. But if I leave that account and I never do anything with it again, I had millions of views on my videos extra, like a bonus, I've had multiple failed side accounts, but I still had views, hundreds of thousands of views culminating with these. So it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
What constitute a failed account? Like, is that just low numbers? You never get over a certain number?
Yeah. So I have one account that, like, I haven't like deleted it yet, but I've only had, I'm totally pulling these numbers out of my butt. I think I've had maybe 25 or 50,000 likes, when it shows at the top what your likes are on that account. And nothing has gone multi-viral or anything like that. So I would consider that a failed account. Even if I am getting, what's that?
And then you just start a new one. If that's a failed
and then
account,
you just start a new one. And then you
Yeah.
just start a new one. Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing with having an extra account or multiple extra accounts is you can try things. Like my Brighton page is so branded that I don't want to alter that. I don't want to change from that. So like when the carousels were really popular recently, I didn't want to do that on that account because that would look really strange to all of a sudden have like a picture of a man on a sea of all this pretty teal. So having these side accounts allows me to try different variations, different styles of videos and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So would you recommend, instead of, like, I've got my one main Trudy J account, and I would say that I haven't ever had any sort of huge number of views or anything. And I've been thinking, is there maybe some way to train it and fix that account? But what I'm hearing almost is that maybe I should just start a new one. Is that? Or you can try either way. I have retrained an account that sort of fizzled and then had multiple virals on it. But it sort of depends on how you want to spend your time. So if you've got an account that has consistently gotten low views, do you want to spend your time posting 3 or 4 or 5 times a day to sort of zhuzh it a little bit, to get it going again? Or would you rather put that effort into a brand new account and see if you can get that to take off right away? Knowing what you know now, you know better, so you can do better. So learning with what with the information that you've gained to start a new account. I mean,
so if you use the latter, what are you going to call the account? What do you have any suggestions so that people can still find you?
What I'm sorry, what was the question?
Starting
What should you call
your because you have an author account, right, already?
Yeah.
So you're not going to call it the same thing.
Right. Well, some people, it depends on what you want. If you want it to be your author backup account, like you could have like Brighton Walsh author, and then you could have Brighton Walsh books or Brighton Walsh backup or something like that. But if you want it to be a vanity account, so it comes off like a reader account, basically, those are like fun, catchy, bookish names. So like you could do like Bookish Boyfriends, or like, hot book boyfriends, or hot steamy reads, or something like that. Or something that's in your genre, something catchy that's in your genre. Or if you only write Insta love, you might want to have something like that. Or
can they bring them back to you? Can they find out who you really are if you did that and you were doing it for a different pen name that was perhaps erotica or something like that?
No, it can't be traced back to you that way. It can be traced, like if you you see somebody posting, and I see like, let's say Hot Book Recs, which I'm sure is an actual account, and I'm not calling them out. I just pulled that out of thin air. But let's say Hot Book Recs, and I go to their page and I see that every recommendation that they have is for Susie Smuts-a-Lot. I'm going to know that Susie Smuts-a-Lot is actually running that account.
Yeah.
So that's the only way that it can be like brought back to you. But like if I was writing Susie Smuts-a-Lot and she was a secret pen name, I would feel confident putting that on my same phone, just under a different email, and still posting that. Like they're not going to be able to come back and say, oh, Susie is actually Brighton.
Yeah.
Okay. They won't be able to do that.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. So maybe we should talk now a little bit about some of the practical stuff in terms of, so what kind of music, let's start there, do you use? Like, do you use trending music, or are you just not worried about that? Or
so there's trending music on TikTok, and then there's trending music on BookTok. And the only way to find trending music on BookTok is to spend time on BookTok.
Okay.
I know people want shortcuts for it, but there's really not a shortcut for it. You need to spend time in BookTok and see what music is hitting. The best way to do that is to scroll your feed for 15 minutes. I mean, if you want to do it every day, or if you want to do it every week and then save. But if you hear a song come up more than once, like that's probably a pretty good indicator that you should use it. I look to see what has gone viral with a certain sound. So if I see a sound and I like the sound, but they've got 30 likes on it, I'm not going to save that sound unless I see it again. Because that tells me that TikTok doesn't care about it. But yeah, that's really the only way. There are tools that help you find like trending music. I did join like early last year. I think it was called Trend Talk maybe. But they give a list of all the different various trending music, and they do have a book section. But I didn't find personally that it was worth it. I think that you can get better information if you just scroll yourself.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because you do get those certain people who are, and I think I've been liking them and they're showing up in my feed, who are recommend, like, oh, there's this new trend on TikTok and you should definitely get in now while it's. Do you ever use those, or are they just to be avoided?
I don't ever use those. I don't know that they're to be avoided. I've just never used them. I think mostly because my Brighton account is not really a trend account. It's just this is how I've established this. But also, if you are on BookTok as any sort of consumer, you are going to see these trends. You don't need to have, you don't need to follow the trend police or whatever, telling you that to do this. Yeah. Unless you want to, unless it helps you, come up with content, then by all means do that.
You can feel sorry for us, Brighton, because we're in New Zealand. We don't get a lot of the music that you guys get. We have copyrights on everything, and we can't. So we just have to hope that we can save it, or someone's done something a bit sneaky and we can keep it. But other than that, no.
One thing I will say is initially I was like, everything had to be so fresh. I had to have fresh hooks. I had to have a different music. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I used this music 2 weeks ago. What are people going to think? Now I use the same music over and over again. If something hits, I will use that sound. I will beat it into the ground. I only have one piece of cautionary tale for that, is that if that sound gets removed, then all of those videos no longer have a sound. I had that happen with one of my accounts. I think it was 30 videos I had to private because I could not change the sound on it. So but that's only happened once in the whole time that I've been doing it. So if you guys find a sound that works, then keep using it over and over and over again.
So I've got a question about comments. How do you handle comments? Are you sort of like, do you try and answer in a timely manner, or do you just let them do their thing kind of thing, and both positive and negative?
Negative, it depends on how the negative is. on some of them, like on one that just went viral, there's people are commenting sort of negatively about one part of it. But I just let those roll in because they're comments. If there's something like, I don't want to see this trash on my FYP, then I will usually comment with, then you probably shouldn't comment on this quote unquote trash, or you're going to stay on this side of TikTok. Otherwise I just delete it. Like they came into my house.
Yes.
And that's how I view it. So, I will delete it. I'm also very free with deleting if somebody promotes another book on there. If an author promotes their own book on there, which that has happened. If a reader say, sometimes I will leave it. This reminds me of something, that can be 50-50. Like, okay, I don't want people to read that book instead, but if readers have read that book, then they might be more inclined to read mine. So that's kind of like a gut feeling check. But as far as like responding to comments, I try to respond to all of them. On the viral videos, it gets really difficult to respond because TikTok doesn't show you every comment that comes in. So sometimes they will stay there for days or weeks even, and I don't know that they're there. But I don't worry about it. I comment when I can. I don't like I post and then I'm not like, oh, I need to check right away if somebody's commented. I just comment when I can.
So
but I do respond, try to respond.
Is it TikTok is that your main sort of, focus with social media is TikTok?
Yeah, for sure. I am on Instagram. I enjoy Instagram as a consumer. Like, that's definitely like Brighton. And TikTok is definitely like the books. But TikTok moves the needle like nothing I have ever seen. In 10 years in this industry, like nothing I've ever seen. So it definitely gets my time for marketing. Yeah.
And so that's an interesting comment that TikTok is about the book. So you never post anything else about you, the author, or you. It's just the books.
Never once. And it's always the books.
Okay.
100% books. Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And some people do like Tessa Bailey's account is fabulous. She posts about the books, but she also posts like about her, and like you can get a sense of who she is as a person, and funny, just her style. She's hilarious. And she just has, if I had to guess, strengths wise, I think she's probably top 5 ideation. So she just, the way she thinks about things, and can post about them, but still turn it around to her books, like in kind of like, I don't want to say like in a sneaky way as in she's being deceitful, but like you don't realize that she just sort of, slipped it in there like that. So but I think both kinds of accounts.
Yeah.
What's that?
I was going to say she writes rom-coms, so it kind of like she also posts kind of little funny things about her as a reader, and it gels. So if you're if you're writing spicier books, it's almost like, do you have to, if you're bringing yourself in as the author, it's almost like, do you have to bring yourself in as a spicier, like, and then you
right.
Or a fantasy author, like, do I have to carry a sword around and go quests or something? Yeah. That's interesting though. That's cool. I'd never thought of it like that. So that's helpful. And do you post to Instagram as well? That you post, it
was my
videos?
question.
Not all the time. I highly suggest you do if you can. My reels have done very well over there. Just a word of caution, I guess. And it's not really caution, but just to make you aware, I calculated and it took 4 times as many views on Instagram to make half as much as I did on TikTok. So it takes a lot more views on Instagram than it does on TikTok. But I will say, I have found it's easier to get higher views on on Instagram for reels, but also I don't repost everything because I tend to post spicy things on TikTok, and all of my family follows me on Instagram.
Right.
My mom, my grandma, like, so
yeah, I can see that, right?
Yeah. So I try to post the ones that are not super spicy. I post those over there. Yeah.
And that brings up something for me is, so when you're doing the spicy stuff on TikTok, there's some words and things that you can't say, and how do you manage that, and how do we figure out what we can and can't say for the different genres?
I am really, really overly cautious with it. If it's a body part, I alter it. Even if it's a finger, if it's an arm, if it's a head, I mean, I alter it. If it's any sort of movement, I alter it. If it's any sort of word that can be construed as quote unquote dirty, like come, even if it says,
come here.
he came to my house, or come here, I would still alter it.
So when you say alter it, you mean put in a symbol instead of one of the letters? Is that?
Yeah. So I like to use the alternate letters. So if you are on an iPhone, you can just hold down the letter that you want, and up will pop a like a menu, I guess, of different ways to do that. I don't know what they're called, but like an E with a slash on it, or an E with 2 dots on it, or something like that.
Yeah.
I like to do that because I think it looks nicer. But there is something to be said for using different things, like an exclamation point instead of an I, or like an emoji or something like that, because it does tend to be eye-catching. And sometimes if people are scrolling, that's sort of shorthand in TikTok land for, ooh, this is going to be spicy.
Yeah.
So let me, let me read it. So, but there are certain emojis that that can get you in trouble. Like, I think like the water one can, and like the panting one, and the eggplant. Yeah. So I don't ever use emojis. I just don't. I just use the alternate letters. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good.
All the things we do as authors.
Yeah.
I know.
Do you ever, this is because I sometimes you go in and you're like, oh, but I don't know I was using unalive instead of kill, and I was like, is that TikTok as well? Is it, do I use it in Insta?
So many things to know, right?
I think that that has become like shorthand on TikTok. That's kind of fun because it's like sort of like you feel like you're in like this fun
cool
little club kind of. But I think it has spread across. So I would use it on Instagram too. I do get people sometimes comment on the Instagram like, okay, but why are the letters like that? And it's like, oh, they'll ban me if I if I don't.
Try it.
But I mean, I don't worry about it. But you can find like fun ways, like unalive, or for come, like sometimes I will do arrive or finish or so you can have fun with it.
Do you ever do?
And then if you
sorry, you go.
Oh, that's okay. If you do that, like if you do unalive, if you put the little sparkle emojis around it, or like an asterisk or something, it sort of like is a clue, like, hey, this is like super wink here. Yeah.
Do you ever do your videos like in Canva or anything like that, or is everything done on your phone?
Sometimes I do. So some of the aesthetic videos, like the actual aesthetic videos with photos, I've done those in Canva, because it's just easier to set up like a template for that. But most of them, no. I did when the carousels were popular. I did those in Photoshop because they have an artboard, so I could lay them out like that. I found a dupe font for TikTok that looks like TikTok's native font, and I put them in there. That made it really easy to change out between accounts, because I could change the background image for them. But as far as like the rumor that you have to create in app. You don't. I think the most important thing is to make it look like it is native to TikTok.
Yeah.
And you can do that in different ways. Like you can do that. CapCut has fonts that look like it.
Yeah.
Like Katarina Mara had many viral videos. And she created, I think, almost exclusively in CapCut, but hers look native to TikTok because of that. Mine created even in Photoshop look native to TikTok because I used the same font. So the urge to use something like new or different is there, but I mean, you can, of course you can if you want to, but I think you would have more success if you
Don't reinvent the wheel.
stick with what you right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah.
With the video covers, so when you go onto your Brighton Walsh page, you've got the same. How do you get that nice little square box with a teal background and the text on it? Is that something you create in TikTok, or is that something you did in the video?
Yeah, it's in TikTok. So when you're on the TikTok screen, after you've created it, and when you are going to post it, you can either post or go to drafts. And in the top right-hand corner is like a little tiny picture that shows your video, what it's going to be. And right at the bottom of that, it says select cover. And if you click on that, it puts you into a separate screen, and you've got many different styles to choose from. And you can pick that and select it. I did that on my Brighton account, and now I've sort of stuck. I don't do that on my other accounts because it's an added step. It's a pain in the butt. It doesn't matter. Truly, it doesn't matter. Nobody sees it except when people go to your account.
Yeah.
So it looks nice. I mean,
it does look nice.
Yes, it looks nice.
It looks nice and orderly.
Yes. But trying to come up with it, especially when you're reusing the same hooks again, it's like, oh my gosh, how can I explain this in a couple words that I haven't already used? Yeah.
You don't want to do the same thing every time, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about that. I meant to ask this earlier. Do you when you get those viral videos, 100K plus views, whatever, do you just repost those again, or do you try and make them a little bit different and keep, does that ever work, or is it?
Let's see. So when you say repost, do you mean take the video as a whole and repost it that way? Or do you mean take the hook and repost it? So reposting the video as a whole, I actually don't think I've ever had success with that. Like, I don't think I've ever had one video go viral more than once, like the same exact video. And by that, I mean, I'm posting it to TikTok. I am downloading that video and re-uploading. I don't think I've ever had that happen. Hooks, absolutely. I've got a hook for one of my books that it goes viral often. By often, I mean, I'm not talking once a week, but consistently, I will say it goes viral consistently, but it also flops consistently.
So you would change the music, change the background, keep the same hook, and
Exactly. I would change the music, sometimes change the background or sometimes not. But I don't think I've ever reposted it in its entirety. So music, that's a good test. Maybe I should try that.
I'd be curious.
I'm going to try that tonight. Let us know how it goes.
That's awesome. That's great advice.
Yeah. I think we might be running close to the end of the interview now, but I just wanted to ask you, sort of in a final wrap up kind of a way, like, what if someone's just starting out in TikTok and a bit unsure about where to go, what to start, what would you advise them to do? What are the sort of maybe basic first steps, or where should they start?
My first suggestion is to train your algorithm. We talked about that a little bit. So, you start a book account and protect that book account. Don't watch things that are not book talk. And I would go as far as to say, don't watch things that are not your genre of book talk. So if fantasy talk comes up, I long press on the video. So you hold your finger on the video, and then a menu will pop up and you click not interested. And do that as many times as it takes. Sometimes even after your account has been trained, and by trained, I mean when you close out of TikTok and you go back into TikTok and all you are served on your FYP, on your For You page, is bookish stuff, then your account is trained. But sometimes they will pop up with different things. Like for a while, I had wigs in my FYP, and then I would get like live streamers of like gamers. So I just, you have to be diligent, long press, not interested, and then go about your business. I would be consistent in everything with it. I would be consistent in your posting style. Also, if you find that your account, that TikTok likes inconsistency in that, be consistently inconsistent, which sounds kind of confusing, but if they like, page flip and book aesthetic and still video or still images and stock videos from you and face shots, give them all of that. If they only like one thing, then just give them that. Same with the hashtags that you use and the time of day that you post. Don't be afraid to test all the time on everything that you're doing, from the style of videos that you're doing to the length that you're doing to the hashtags, the number that you're using, the depth of those hashtags. So how many views are on those hashtags, the time of day. I can't remember if I said that, but test all of that. And then don't be afraid to start over. If something isn't working, if you've done all of this and you are stuck in the 200 views, don't be afraid to start over. But also make sure that your content is hitting with people. So if you've done all of that and your videos aren't taking off, and you start a new account and those videos aren't taking off, I would highly suggest that you look at your hooks and see if they are hooky enough to stop. You want to stop the scroll. So you want to get people to stop and read.
Sense.
So yeah.
100%.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It's such great advice.
Thank you so much for joining us
Of
today.
course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
I hope it was helpful.
Yeah,
very
interesting too. Yeah,
very helpful. So if someone wants to go away and find you and read up more on your books or check out your TikTok, where's the best place to go?
You can find me on brightonwalsh.com. If you go to brightonwalsh.com/quick links, then that has all of my social media on there, and everywhere you can find me.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And who wants to say where we can be found?
We can be found at spargirlspodcast.com. We have our social media links on there, except for YouTube, which is where we are hanging out quite a lot these days, which is at YouTube, which is at Spargirls Podcast on there. And we're also on patreon.com/spargirlspodcast.
Awesome. Thank you all for listening. And thank you, Brighton, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been another episode of the Spargirls Podcast. Join us again next week for another episode. But for now, farewell.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.